And, the whole mentality of current Bitcoiners is if it's not Bitcoin, it's a coin. So you can't even think about other ways of decentralization without being, untouchable.
Web3 is changing the largest ticket seller in the world. Tesla. Elon Musk just changed his Twitter logo. It seems that, to less experienced people in the space, including myself, because I'm honestly a little bit ignorant to this. I mean, you go on Twitter, you see everybody's crying that there's no more decentralization.
Well, I mean, this is where
I guess it's Twitter, though.
This is Twitter, yeah. This is the sad state of cryptocurrency onboarding.
Yeah.
At this point in time, like there's a kind of a pathway for adoption that people, as they get further and further into it, and it used to be kind of one track, everybody coexisted, and you'd have your corners of specialty and expertise, but like Bitcoiners got along with Litecoiners and Ripple people over there in the corner being weird, but now there's all these different camps where you're a scammer if you don't like my coin.
Yeah.
And we all know who we're talking about if you're in the business.
Right.
But like, the problem with that mentality and that cultish behavior is they are driving away the folks. Like all the OGs in Bitcoin don't hang out with the maximalists anymore. Like Eric Voorhees and Charlie Shrem and Charlie Lee and all these people that were, and Vitalik Buterin, all these people that were very instrumental in early Bitcoin culture have been driven away by the current most popular Bitcoiners. Because they are technologists before they are Bitcoiners.
Right.
Like they are innovators.
They want to keep innovating in the crypto landscape versus becoming a cult-like, team.
And the whole mentality of current Bitcoiners is if it's not Bitcoin, it's a coin. So you can't even think about other ways of decentralization without being, untouchable.
I mean, that's a major problem in the industry is we have different groups who become kind of cult-like in their communities, and it really does challenge the onboarding process. And I want to kind of dive deeper into that because you mentioned onboarding, and that's what we do over here at Web3 Ready. So what kind of challenges do you see in the crypto landscape right now with Web3 and crypto education and onboarding for new users?
Well, I mean, so there's been a lot of phases of adoption that I feel have been a little bit too far divorced from the principles of decentralization. This mixing thing is a great example, right? If Bitcoiners and OG Bitcoiners and Ethereans felt more comfortable, being in the same culture, somebody could have told these guys, look, it's okay to be a different coin, but you still have to have security best practices, and you should decentralize and secure your private keys. Like Bitcoiners are great about repeating the phrase, not your keys, not your crypto. Don't put it in the cloud. Use proper hardware. Obviously, that culture didn't exist at Mixin.
Yeah.
And a variety of other, like bridges that have been exploited over the last 5 years, these layer 2 bridges,
right.
Same exact thing.
Well, so let me ask you this. Do you think as crypto evolves that the idea of decentralization will remain as important in terms of, new adoption for new users? Because it seems like the less it's crypto, the less it's, the ethos of what crypto is built on, the more you have onboarding, the more you have adoption.
Yeah. I mean, I think there is, I'm of two minds here, right? We had this discussion about a month ago on the roundtable where there is a class of user that is, I think, instrumental in building in the crypto ecosystem that desperately needs to understand the underlying principles down to its core. And then there is the general public that just wants to use cool stuff that works.
But that's exactly where the gap happens, is these builders are not on the same page as the users. Whereas the users want a very seamless experience, seamless interface, whereas the builders want to continue to stick to these ethos, which might not necessarily translate in a good experience and a good interface.
I think the problem is the opposite. I think that these devs are not as versed as they need to be in principles of decentralization. and the users.
Are they not versed, or are they just not applying it as much as they used to?
So I don't think they have good fundamental knowledge. That's the problem.
I mean, that's what happens when so many new people enter into the space, though.
Right. And because of the grotesqueries of crypto culture between Bitcoiners and the rest of the ecosystem, they're like a lot of the new crowd has thrown the baby out in the bath. Like for me, when I first noticing the schism was when I started working more closely with IBM with their futurist group, and I met with a lot of the senior fellows at IBM who, would never say it on camera, but in a bar after the conference would tell me, yeah, Hyperledger is just Ethereum, but we can't say the word cryptocurrency on stage because Bitcoin is too closely identified with Ross Ulbricht and Silk Road.
I mean, even nowadays, I feel like it's better to say digital assets than cryptocurrency.
But even if you look at the Federal Reserve is putting out, all these conferences where they are they want to use the word cryptocurrency, and it's bizarre the corners of the world that say, no, we recognize the value of decentralization of cryptocurrency. Meanwhile, the builders in the enterprise ecosystem and what's grown out of it, like Hedera Hashgraph and Solana, are backing away from it and going with digital assets and these other kind of milquetoast versions of the term.
Well, I think there's a lot of things lost in translation when you're trying to, take someone who is very advanced in the industry and kind of bring it back down to somebody who might not be as advanced. I think the problem with crypto right now is a new user does not know anything about it on an educational level, but then also on a regulatory level, there's so much uncertainty that almost scares people away.
Hey, thanks for watching The Merge. We've got a ton more stuff for you to watch on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, everywhere. Check us out.